live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Yes, it is. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee, back in the comfort of our studio today. It's Tuesday, April 4th. It is another big weather day. We're going to go in depth tonight on a number of these topics. This historic April storm, also the effects it has on you and your family. We're also going to be talking about former President Donald Trump and his court appearance today. We're joined by a legal expert to get her take on today's events. So before we do that, we've obviously got to talk about the big one, though. As we go in depth tonight, you can always get in touch with us throughout the show. Use the hashtag 2NewsLive to join the conversation. You can always find me on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send me a direct message here to weigh in. Pretty easy to do. All right, let's take a look out from our friends at Snowbird today. Some new pictures, sharing these on social media. They said as of this morning, the resort has broken the all-time snow record. Join the list, Snowbird. 785 and counting.
It's a big
Meteorologist
list.
Chase Thomas in here. Yeah, I mean, that list is growing. We can't even fit it on our monitors at this point. Everyone's really chasing the number that Alta has, right? I mean, 850 and counting at this point. It's all impressive, though.
Yeah, it's between Alta and Brighton. They're getting very close to 850 inches with this winter storm. And I want to put things in perspective, so you need to help me out.
So
we got to walk over here,
okay.
Brian, okay?
Yep.
We're going to talk about how much snow Alta has picked up over an entire season. And right now, just updated the number, they're at 852 inches, which is about 70 feet.
Let's try something here. Look at this.
70 feet.
Okay, so me and the giraffe right here in the corner.
I know, I
There
could
you go.
replace the giraffe with Schnees, but we're doing giraffes because an adult male is about 18 feet high. We're stacking them on top of each other. Just to put that into perspective, we have 4 giraffes equals how tall our snowpack is at Alta Resort.
I like what you did here. It looks like an egg there, the snowfall.
A little
Giraffes
bit.
and eggs.
But hopefully it looks like snow.
It does. No, I think it works.
A mound of snow.
It
A
works.
snow
Very
pillow, if you
creative.
will.
We borrowed these giraffes from the Hogle Zoo.
We did.
None of them were harmed in the making of this graphic.
We're going to return them. They're wanting some warm weather. And we got some warm weather in the forecast, hopefully just in time for the Easter weekend. Let's get to that forecast with all this fresh snow, and we're not done yet. Avalanche danger is in the red, which is high. Not good news. Avoid the backcountry. So much snow at those resorts, 2 to 4 feet, and it continues to climb, impacting the backcountry. So stay out of the backcountry. It's going to take some time for that snow to settle and for our avalanche danger to drop just a bit. Take a look at these snow totals. So far, Alta in the last 48 hours picking up 42 inches of snow. We might tack on another 6 to 12 tonight, by the way. Randolph and Manila, 2 feet of snow. Bountiful Bench and Suncrest, Hiram and Cache Valley, 18 inches. This is historic for the month of April. Olympus Cove, West Jordan, 16. Sandy and Kearns, 15. 12 foot of snow in Nephi and Springville, almost a foot in North Salt Lake and Cedar City, so even down towards southwestern Utah. Now, the focus for tonight and tomorrow morning will be northern Utah. Winter storm warnings continue until 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and for our mountains and also southwestern Wyoming for additional snowfall. But the hardest hit area will likely be wherever we have some lake effect snow coming off the Great Salt Lake and coming off Utah Lake. And right now we have some of that snow. The heaviest snow is towards the south end of the Salt Lake Valley. Also some light snow showers across the far northern end of the Wasatch Front. We have some isolated showers in central and southern Utah. They'll be wrapping up later tonight. Again, the heaviest snow is here in northern Utah. Really gets going later tonight and into tomorrow morning. Look at this lake effect snow band impacting portions of the Tooele Valley, Salt Lake County, Utah County. Notice not a whole lot, though, over the northern end of the Wasatch Front. So it really depends on where we have this lake effect band. We do think the Salt Lake Valley has the best chance to see those snow showers and even a little bit of snow across the southern end of Utah County. This band, though, might lift back into Davis County at 8 o'clock during the peak commute, but things will be winding down by then, and then maybe just a couple hit or miss snow showers later in the afternoon. But the overall trend is for some drier air to arrive later tomorrow, but definitely by Thursday and Friday we'll have some more sunshine. The computer models are showing about 2 to 6 inches of snow wherever we have some of that lake effect here in the Salt Lake Valley. I think locally higher totals along some of those benches. If you're not going to see that lake effect snow, you might get a dusting to another inch or 2. St. George, we're quite cold right now, and we get even colder tonight at 27 degrees. 52 tomorrow, 60s on Thursday, 70s Friday and Saturday. It's coming. Just wait a few more days. You're going to love the weekend. Maybe a couple high clouds, low to mid 80s as we head into next week, and Easter Sunday is just looking really nice. Salt Lake, 26 tonight, first alert weather day, mainly for where we have that lake effect snow, Tooele, Salt Lake, Utah County, maybe southern Davis County. 49 and sunny on Thursday, and then temperatures will be climbing into the weekend here in northern Utah. How about some 60s this weekend? Easter Sunday should be fantastic. Early next week, though, low 70s. Warmest weather of the year so far, and above normal. We haven't said that in quite some time.
Well, obviously the show here is called 2 News Live. So let's go live to I-15 right now during the peak commute time. This is Midvale, northbound traffic heading back towards Salt Lake City. You could see some of the exits here about 72nd South turning off at this point. Man, parts of the roads getting covered here. A slow go of it, but this is messy.
That's right. We talked about that heavier lake effect band kind of shifting towards the south end of the valley, and that's where we have some of these conditions. So from about Midvale down to Draper, that's where you're going to see snow sticking to the roads. We're still about 2 hours left away from sunset. Once that happens, it will really start to stick to those roads. And the crews have been out there treating them, but if you have a heavy band, it really just can't keep up.
The blessing and the curse of lake effect, right? Skier's delight, and then of course you have to drive in it. The interesting part, at least about this storm, lake effect has been a heavy involvement throughout the different processes and the different rounds.
Well, typically when it comes to lake effect, we see that during the early part of the season when the lake is a little bit warmer, and sometimes towards spring, but not often do we get this really cold air during the month of April. So the water temperature has climbed. Now we have a winter air mass. That's kind of the perfect scenario for lake effect. We've been having it over the last couple weeks now.
Meteorologist Chase Thomason, don't go anywhere. We need to pick your brain some more. As we continue to track this historic storm, download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. You can get updated forecasts, live radar right on the phone. All you have to do, pull out your phone right now. If you have it out and you're watching, I don't mind you taking a quick break to scan this. Make sure you can check this out by using this QR code to download the 2 News weather app today. Our current storm turned highways, freeways into ice rinks this morning, and they were a little bit ugly, as we saw here just from our live camera moments ago. There were many traffic issues, slide-offs, fender benders, stranded drivers. Our Lincoln Graves is live for us tonight along I-215 on the west side. After talking to the folks at UDOT, Lincoln, what did they have to say about yet another storm that they've worked on this winter?
Yeah, they say their crews are pretty tired, Brian. It's certainly been a long season for them, and it's not over yet. So they're pretty tired. You know, when people head out for those morning commutes or evening commutes, we often think that the surface streets may be more treacherous and snow removal crews will pay more attention to the freeways and highways. That's generally true, but we saw so many issues this morning with the freeways snow-packed and covered in snow. A lot of issues. Our morning colleagues reported that this may have been the worst commute they saw the entire season up to this point. UDOT tells me that when you get snowfall rates that are this high, about an inch an hour, even that will overpower snow plows. They're not able to keep up with removing all of that snow. They have to keep going back and forth, and it is just too much. You are likely to see those slippery conditions build. And then once you get an accident or two in the mix, that starts to slow things down even more. It can be a domino effect. And they say that's really why we saw some pretty awful conditions.
Our Lincoln Graves live for us
pretty
tonight.
Awful conditions there, Brian.
Yeah, Lincoln, you know, what's interesting that you mentioned they're tired. We are just going to continue to talk about this and, of course, share that public safety messaging so everyone at home knows what they encounter as they go out on the roads. But you know what? They're probably going to have to head back out tonight into the morning commute. Are they staying optimistic about not really knowing when the winter months will cease at this point?
Yeah, I asked them if they're ready for more winter. You know, we all have that spring transition in mind. So are they still geared up and ready to go when we get more snow? And they said, yes, it is not unusual to get snowstorms in April, even May, and then even in June in some of the higher elevations like the Cottonwood Canyon. So they are ready to keep up with the snow as it comes because we are likely to see more. It has been just that kind of winter, Brian.
Lincoln, hoping those honks bring on the spring at this point. Thanks so much for your time. Let's check in on the roads from the road. Amanda Gilbert has been live in our mobile weather lab the last few days. Amanda, I've asked you this same question because I can't keep up with your location. Where are you right now, and what does it look like from the mobile weather lab tonight?
Brian, it is not great. We are on I-80. We're right by the Great Salt Lake. I'm going to turn the camera around. You can see we have snow really coming down. The wind is moving. Snow is sticking to the roads. Visibility is low. Not great driving conditions in this area. You can see the snow kicking up behind the truck in front of us. Please, please be safe if you have to get out. It sounds like conditions are just going to get worse throughout the night, and we have already seen so many slide-offs, almost 10 in the past few hours that we have been driving across multiple different interstates. So please be safe. We'll show you some of those slide-offs coming up at 6. Back to you.
Amanda, thank you so much. Our latest snowstorm keeping homeowners shoveling. It's also putting a dent in city budgets for snow removal. Sandy City getting more than a foot from this next round, and city leaders say that they are just spending so much. They are over budget. Ariel Harrison live for us in Sandy tonight. Oh my goodness, looking at you, Ariel. You can't catch a break. You were big Cottonwood Canyon yesterday, a similar shot to what we're seeing here. How are you doing today? My goodness, have you thawed out from any part of this storm?
I'm trying to laugh it off, Brian. This is crazy. I was talking to my colleague who's with me today, Tim, how we've been in Sandy all day, okay? And it has not stopped snowing. Even when it let up just a little bit, it's been flurries all day long. And then this is probably the most intense we've seen since we've been in Sandy since this morning. But Brian, you mentioned city budgets. They shared with me, I spoke with the Parks Department Assistant Director who said they've overspent hundreds of thousands of dollars for snow removal in terms of just the plow drivers that are out and then laying down on salt. They said that they're currently working with the city council and different city administration to, work to fill that void because, yeah, they've overspent. And I would imagine there are other cities that are finding themselves in that very same position.
So Ariel, what is next? I mean, they're not going to stop treating these roads by any means, right? But they're going to, I'm assuming, pull money from other sorts of parts of the budget. And they're not going to just leave citizens high and dry at this point.
Of course not. No, their priority remains the roads. That was the big thing that he said. He said they got to keep the streets clear. That's a priority. They're not going to stop. They're working together, though, to fill that void. I'd have to ask him more questions about where that will be involved, but he did say they need to talk about it, and that's definitely in the works. It's a discussion they're having every single day, he said. But yeah, residents are, getting buried in snow. They had a lot of snow they woke up to this morning. They were telling me, I really hope I'm not waking up for around 3 tomorrow morning. I don't know. When I'm looking at these flakes, it's quite a bit. But one thing about the snow is it's super heavy, even though it has stuck in a lot of spots. This morning we watched it melt off roads just because it was so wet. So we'll see how things go overnight.
Repping that jacket well. Thank you, Ariel. I saw you over there with your cell phone getting a good shot of Ariel because that's coming down pretty good. Is that a true example of
that's
a
really
lake
heavy
effect
snow?
dump?
Yes, it is. And I mean, Ariel, if anyone's going to complain about the snow, I mean, she doesn't. She has every reason to. She worked over the weekend. I worked over the weekend. She's been covering the storm like I've been covering the storm, and she's been out in the elements. I've been in the studio, and every live shot, she is in snow. So if you want some snow, just follow Ariel. She knows where to find it.
So thank you, Lincoln. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ariel, and all of their respective photographers and photojournalists for giving us not just those live pictures, but things you see at KUTV all evening long. All right, Chase, a little bit of excitement here after this. Of course, one of your graphics here that I was quizzing you on earlier today at 4 o'clock. But it's refreshing to see a little bit of this, a warm up here, and this. I don't even know if I believe it at this point.
You know what? I think it's going to happen.
Okay.
All signs point to some low 70s early next week, which we're all going to get very excited about. I know we want to go outside, get some sunshine, make us feel better. However, with some 70s, a lot of that lower snowpack is going to be melting, something that we're going to be watching, especially I think across the northern end of the Wasatch Front, the Weber River. It's going to be running very high and very fast with these warmer temperatures. So, but starting to maybe turn the corner a bit. There could be some more cold fronts, though, maybe later next week.
We're definitely going to be talking about flooding, things that we can do, you can do around your homes to stay prepared for the what-if scenario. At this point, it might be inevitable, so be sure to take that preventative work. We'll be covering it for you right here on 2 News Live. Chase, thank you so much. With several Utah ski resorts hitting 800 inches of snow for the year, we made this interactive poll. I really like this one, too. You can scan the QR code on your screen. on which option you think is 800 inches. So let's go through the poll here real quick. 4 Hogle Zoo giraffes, that's what Chase showed in his graphic, very cool. 1.5 delicate arches, 114 32-ounce soda cups, makes sense. 800 cups of fry sauce. Right now, a slim margin for our giraffes. They might be here to stay. All right, we're going to continue to go in depth now. Former President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Here's a live look from Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate tonight. Of course, a few hours ahead of us on the other side of the country. Happy to be joined now by criminal defense attorney Sky Lazaro. Sky, thank you again for offering some insight on this. What did you take away from today?
I think this is pretty much what we expected coming out of the indictment. All these had to do with payments Michael Cohen made under the guise that they were essentially legal services. So I think it's somewhat expected. There are numerous counts. So I think, it could have been more or less, all spanning sometime within the time of February to December of 2017.
Felony counts. I mean, anybody hears, we obviously cover here on the news a number of crime depending on what that is. People hear misdemeanor, they hear felony. What type of felony charges are these? And obviously a felony charge is severe, but how severe are these felony charges?
So this is charged as a Class C misdemeanor in New York, or Class C felony in New York. That's their lowest level of felony charge. So something here would be like a 3rd-degree felony. Looking at it from possible sentencing, anywhere from 1 to or no jail, but 1 year to 5 years incarceration.
Sky Lazaro joining us here on 2 News Live to talk more about the hush money investigation, all of the developments since we talked last time of Mr. Trump, his name being thrown out there again. So things have moved, at least at this point, rather swiftly, it seems, kind of by the book, right? Day by day. So where do things go from here? Could this drag out for weeks, months at this point?
It could be years. So the next step is the discovery phase. So the government's going to have to turn over everything that they have with regard to exculpatory and things that they relied upon in the indictment. So if they have things that would be favorable to former President Trump, they're going to have to give him those things as well. You're probably going to see a bunch of pretrial motions filed by the defense, maybe a challenge to who composed the grand jury, those types of things. The state has signaled to where they want to maybe look at a trial in January. The defense has countered and said, I think it's going to be spring. It could be far past that. I'd be surprised if we get to a trial in any of those timeframes.
Again, here a live look from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Obviously waiting for some sort of action here, whether that is, the former president himself or some associates to come up and speak at this point, which remains to be seen. But as things approach about 8 o'clock Eastern time right now, waiting to see what happens. Sky, anything else that is a big takeaway from today's events, at least the arraignment portion and what you saw, or other larger scale media coverage that have been following this very closely? Anything stand out?
I think everything went pretty much how we would have expected it to as far as the arraignment process, the booking process. We expected he would be released on his own recognizance or with some security measures. It'll remain to be seen, I think, how this shakes out in the media. In reviewing some of this, campaign contributions have actually increased. There's been an uptick in the polls. As time goes on, it'll be interesting to follow this and see, where the criminal process goes in relation to whether or not he's going to maintain his bid for presidency.
And just quickly, how hard is it to keep the outside noise for a case like this indeed out of it?
As we talked about previously, I think impossible, which is why I think you're going to see a challenge from the defense as to who composed the grand jury. I think this is going to be an ongoing issue with the media, outside influence. Can you seat a jury? Are they going to challenge venue because it's Manhattan? So it'll be a very interesting watch from a legal perspective as well.
Appreciate your legal perspective on this. Thank you, Sky.
Thank you for having me.
We want to hear from you, of course, at home. We posted the question of the day asking how the details of the Trump indictment are out. Do you think this is politically motivated? We don't see results up there just yet. Let's give it a click. Yes or no? For the sake of this, say yes, because I thought we were going to lean that way. 67%, 33% no, and look at that, a healthy poll. Almost 10,000 votes on this one. My goodness. Well, we're going to continue to cover that one, of course, but the big topic of the day, the last few days of the weekend, it feels like, how about the last few months? Let's word it that way, has been the weather. I mean, this winter is a historic one.
Yeah, we posted on KUTV.com, also posted on my Facebook page and on Twitter, is our snow water equivalent, our snowpack. And we're just breaking records. We broke the 1983 record, and we broke a new record back in the 50s. Now, that total is a little up in the air because it was a manual observation. We don't have all the technology like we do now, but we broke that record. That means since 1920, we have the most snow on record in our mountains across the state.
He's Chase Thomason. I'm Brian Schnee. Our time is up here on 2 News Live. Thanks so much for joining us. We're back with you tomorrow through the end of the week, 5:30, Monday through Friday. Streaming live, KUTV.com, the 2 News mobile app, Facebook, and YouTube. Going in depth on topics that mean a little bit more to you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night.